Welcome back. You're still watching Perspective, and we're talking to Mr. Len Edwards from the CG Canada. You talk forum. What is the product? What are you going to come up with, and where will it go, for example?
Well, the first product will be our discussions themselves, of course, and there will be there's a rapporteur and these sorts of things, and so there will be a conference record available to both sides, and we hope that we will be circulating that outside the conference to governments and to businesses and so on. Within my own organization, we will probably take that and create a report, a very short, kind of punchy report that will be directed at readership in Canada.
In general.
In general, yeah.
Right.
But we'll try and direct it at those that are most interested in Indonesia. CSIS may be doing the same thing here, I'm not sure. But the idea is, in addition to the discussion, to have a product that communicates these ideas, that builds awareness in Canada of Indonesia and the growth that's possible in our relationship across the board. Identify specific areas of focus for the future.
Yeah. When you take specific areas, this is where I'm interested in. Like, are you going to limit yourself into, like, let's say, economic, or is it all-encompassing social, whatever, international relation, politics? Where do you set the limit in that?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question, because we went to design the forum. You know, we could have a week-long forum to discuss everything. So we were here in January to meet with CSIS, and we settled on a few areas of focus. You know, the economy and economic and trade relations and investment is a big chunk of of our business. But within that, we have decided to focus on two areas of particular interest. One is infrastructure, at a time when Indonesia is facing such huge challenges in infrastructure. We think that there are opportunities for good economic trade, investment relationships in infrastructure development. Agriculture and food security is another area. Our trade with Indonesia now almost, I think I'm right in this, in excess of 50% is in fact in agricultural commodities and potash.
We export a lot of fertilizer from you guys.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I think
and indeed, we import foodstuffs from you as well.
Rubber,
but this is an area that as Indonesia and in fact all countries are struggling a bit with feeding their people and so on. We believe that cooperation with Canadian companies can be helpful. But it goes beyond that. It goes to some of the technologies that we use in our agricultural sector.
Is this cooperation in terms of investment, or is it know-how and everything?
Yes, it's everything. It's everything. And in fact, you know, we'll talk a bit about this, I think, in a few minutes. But the whole notion of innovation in the agricultural sector is huge.
Yeah.
You know, you remember the Green Revolution and so forth. Well, there are new technologies being used in Canada in grain production, pulse production, in livestock development and genetics and so forth, that we think could be of use here. And it's more than a trade issue. It is in fact an opportunity to transmit technologies that can be employed here in Indonesia. So infrastructure, agriculture, and then we're going to spend some time just looking at some of the investment issues and trade issues. We have two huge insurance companies here active in Manulife and Sun Life, are very good corporate.
Manulife is Canadian.
Yeah, and so there are things we wanted to focus on there, see where the room for growth is, services generally.
Right.
So not just, so that's within the economic side.
So it's still within the economic side. Yeah. In that sense. Infrastructure, I'm interested in infrastructure because we need that, and it's been way overdue. What can Canada bring in this, in terms of cooperation in infrastructure? Is it only investment mostly?
I mean, there's a very practical sort of the hardware. You know, Bombardier makes airplanes and railroads and rail cars and locomotives and so on. So there's rail. There's also you know, BlackBerry and the communications infrastructure side and so forth. One of our players in this conference comes from Infrastructure Ontario, which is a organization within the government of Ontario that has developed a model of public-private partnership that we use in Canada.
What infrastructure?
Yeah, and it's a model that has been quite successfully exported to other countries. So we have a lot of practice in that, and so we will have a speaker who will talk a bit about how we do it in Canada, and maybe this approach may be useful here in Indonesia. You tackle these huge infrastructure challenges.
Yeah, certainly. In the food agricultural sector, what are the food commodities that we're trading in?
Well,
not much, I don't think so.
Here it's largely grains.
Oh, grains.
Some meat products and so on. Pulses are an important trading item now. They things like lentils and beans and peas and these sorts of things. So these are some of the areas that we'll be talking about. But again, it goes, I think, it's more than simply trading goods. It's also, as I said, know-how and technologies.
Okay, we'll talk more about that after the break. Please stay with us.